The man Jordan and you, locking horns once again. I wouldn't have thought in the way you did in the news building at London Bridge the other day, but you enjoyed that.
I did enjoy it.
Right?
No, it was. Listen, it was a good debate. It was a strong debate. Clearly, a lot of people enjoyed it. I understand it was your biggest numbers ever in the history of talkSPORT.
Oh, really?
Confirmed. Which is great.
We haven't heard that.
Genuinely.
No, in fairness to Eddie, it was not as big our biggest numbers in listening to the show, but what it was the biggest numbers watching it live simultaneously on YouTube. Yeah. So it was a remarkable effect. Absolutely. I mean, Eddie's still going around doing his victory lap, apparently. So I'm very happy for him.
No,
I'm humble
in victory.
I thought it was a good debate.
It
I thought it was
an
interesting debate. I didn't realise there was a title at the end of it, but I know it means a lot to you.
It does.
So I'm happy for you.
Especially outwitting a superstar like you.
I'm happy to give you the deluded W, if that's what you want.
I was more happy because not many people ever sort of potentially come out the victor, so I was happy to at least have that debate. You know,
we both know that we've got people that will like.
See, I saw Piers. Before I did it, I actually bumped into Piers and I said, "I saw you on Simon Jordan," so I said, "I'm going to go on." And he was like, as if to say,
I doubt
he's good. No, it was quite complimentary. I don't mean particularly like you.
It was a good conversation.
You're still with us, Adam.
Yeah. I'm just enjoying these two.
I'm not entirely sure you told the truth during most of it.
Well, I actually did, but I'm not quite sure you knew what you were talking about. But anyway, I'm not going to go back there.
There we go.
Anyway, but the reality is, what I will say is, although a lot of the topics discussed aren't necessarily great for boxing, boxing is a very topical sport and actually one of the most driven conversations in sport and debated conversations as well, in all aspects. Of course, this topic as well.
Well, of course, let's get on to this topic. And Eddie, we are here, and the scene is incredible here at Westfield. It's getting busier and busier by the moment, and they're all here to see Anthony Joshua, of course. The weigh-in coming your way later on this morning. Eddie, how's your man? How is Joshua? Nobody knows him probably better than your good self. Where is his head at the moment?
Sort of thinking about where he's at on fight week. Gareth Davies came up to me a couple of days ago. He seems in a great place. I said, you say that every fight, and he's always smiling. He's always physically in incredible shape. We won't really know till the bell goes. I was in Dallas in camp with him. Looks great. Different kind of vibe in camp. Normally at the EIS, the English Institute of Sport, which is the home of the Olympic team, he's like God. Walks in and they roll out the red carpet. I don't think that's necessarily what he's wanted. A lot of voices, a lot of familiar faces. Sometimes it can get very comfortable. This time in Dallas, one voice, Derek James, went to the gym, completely different environment, very basic gym, done the rounds, done hard work, but he's just, I guess, what's he got left in the tank? I think a lot. Where's he at physically, mentally? All these questions that, the problem in this fight is letting Jermaine Franklin get any rhythm or confidence in the fight. If he can take that out of him early, I think he can get him out of there. Franklin does fancy it, and of course it's his lottery ticket in boxing, but at the same time, if you let him get confident in the fight and frustrate Joshua, then it's going to be a long night.
We are seeing the numbers of people pitching up here at Westfield. We know what it's going to be like tomorrow night, Eddie. Is he still the biggest draw in boxing or one of the biggest draws in boxing?
I think you've got some huge draws. Our other client on the other side of the pond, Canelo Alvarez, is quite incredible in terms of pay-per-view numbers in America. Just sold out 60,000 in Guadalajara. He's a huge name. Tyson Fury, a huge name with big profile on both sides of the Atlantic as well. Anthony's been doing this for a long time, and I think with this fight, a little bit of a slow burner. I expected it. We've sold out now. Expected it to sell it out quicker. But at the same time, there's been a lot of anticipation this week.
Right.
Because they realise that Joshua's back.
But
and they don't know what the result is.
If Franklin lands one and puts him away, Anthony won't be doing it for any longer.
No. That's been a big question this week. Is defeat the end for Anthony Joshua? I guess it all depends what kind of level you want to operate at. If you're only interested in trying to win the world heavyweight title or being involved with big fights like Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, and you get beat by Jermaine Franklin, it's a huge blow. And you might not want to come back from it, but let's not go there.
But do you see a scenario, seriously? Ultimately, Anthony Joshua is a big-time fighter. And the fact that if he were to lose this fight, you can't really make a case, can you, for him to sort of trawl around mid-ranking fightings, given the levels that he's been at and operated at?
I guess it's how the individual feels.
But you know him, it's doubtful.
Yeah, I think that he loves the sport of boxing. This is life. But also, he would also understand that he is a high-end operator, and that's where he wants to be. And he's desperate to fight Fury. He's desperate to fight Wilder. He wants to win the world heavyweight title. And if he's 3 or 4 steps from that, it's a long way back. Everyone keeps talking about the 2 defeats. recently, it was to Alexander Usyk, and I've tried to pump that into AJ to say, you fought well in that last fight. You lost to the pound-for-pound number one. But as you drop the level, you need to deal with that level to show that you're the level above, and that's the situation on Saturday night. So the pressure is not just through victory, but actually doing it in a dominant fashion, because I think if he goes in there and looks good and destroys this guy, everyone will be talking about AJ v Fury.
Yes.
And I think we'll have a much easier job because the public will insist on that fight, and neither fighter has a fight scheduled, neither fighter has a mandatory. I would be very hopeful of some kind of success.
Do you expect the best version of Anthony Joshua tomorrow night, Adam?
I absolutely do. What I wanted to just speak to Eddie about there is that I think in boxing we put too much onus sometimes on defeat. And obviously with Alexander Usyk, I personally rate him as the pound-for-pound number one. Losing to him, I don't think he's any great shame whatsoever. Why choose Jermaine Franklin as the comeback and not a Dillian Whyte, a higher-ranked fighter, in order to create this conversation that we want?
They had a fight that could have gone either way, really. I think Dillian Whyte, for me, when we look at the long-term plan of AJ, don't forget, when we tried to look at the Fury fight at the end of last year, we were told by Fury that he was fighting Usyk in February, and that was done.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's April tomorrow, and that never happened. So, as far as I was concerned, I was plotting out, comeback, potentially Dillian Whyte in the summer, and then Fury or Wilder. Now, I still think Whyte is an option in the summer, but I think AJ would be willing to go straight into the Fury fight, especially as he has no plans. So, you know,
would that be if let's in the great scheme of things, Anthony's brilliant at the weekend. He blows Jermaine Franklin away and creates a statement and gets everybody going crazy. There's nothing like a viral knockout that's good for business. Would then taking, in my opinion, a sidestep to Dillian Whyte be the right thing, or do we need to be going further up the rankings to saying, listen, Tyson Fury, we just had all this for the last week where everybody's annoyed in the heavyweight division. Let's get this fight on.
Yeah, I think when you talk about going above Dillian Whyte, there's a select few. Fury, arguably Joyce. I think he's the same level as Whyte, but you know he's looking good as well. And Wilder. So it's really, do you go for Fury Wilder or potentially Joyce, or do you go for Dillian Whyte or another? And I think it depends on how he looks on Saturday and how he feels.
Of course.
I would like him to gel with Derek James. I mean, the last time out, he had one fight with Robert Garcia. Different kind of relationship. These two, Anthony for this camp and this week has been, ask Derek, speak to Derek. And I love that because when he had that with Rob McCracken, there was so much trust in the corner. And what AJ's great at is instruction. If you tell him in a fight and if you can convince him that the tactics are correct and they're understood, mentally, he's confident. He's not the guy you can go into and start pumping him up saying, you're a wrecking ball, just go out and destroy him. Yeah. He wants to know how, why. And I think he's got that under Derek James.
Yeah.
So
Did he have that previous? Before Klitschko, for example, when he was blowing people away inside 3 rounds?
With Rob, I think with Rob McCracken, it was like a father and son relationship. It was advisor, friend, manager, pure trust. And if you go back to the Klitschko fight at the end of the 5th round, where he was absolutely out on his feet, listen to McCracken in the corner. It was, look at me. This is what you got to do. Breathe. And AJ was like, okay. It was the trust. And then you get to the Usyk fight, and all of a sudden you've got 3 trainers, and he's saying that during the round. Good, beautiful AJ. And, you know, at the end of the bell, he actually thought he won the fight.
But how do you square that analogy with the first fight with Usyk, where Rob McCracken was the sole voice in his corner?
He wasn't, though. No, but he wasn't.
That was the bad one.
Was the
He's
problem.
the most dominant voice, though, isn't he?
Not, well, there was
you had about 3 people shouting different instructions from at Tottenham. You had loads of different instructions.
Angel Fernandez and Joby. And it was too much. Look, they're all very good trainers in their own right, but Rob, you know, I think that relationship broke down. Rob was there because he wanted to support AJ. You know, you got people shouting things every time he lands a jab or slips a shot, and you know, really, you can't really have cheerleaders sometimes in the camp of, you know, every time I've got in the ring over the last 2, that last fight particularly, which was very close against Usyk after the 9th round, and the championship performance from Usyk was great. I got in the ring, a lot of the team thought that AJ had won, you know, and I said, what do you think? I said, no. I said it's 115, 113 all day long, or 116, 112. That's a bit harsh, but you know. So now I think Derek won't give him any rubbish, and he's worked him to the bone out there.
So Eddie, I can tell you, back at base, the questions from fight fans are flying in, and I'm hearing some of them now, so I'll put them to you. You expect your man to win tomorrow night? Of course you do. He's in great condition. You expect him to put Franklin away. But if he doesn't, for whatever reason, is it over for AJ? Would that be it?
I mean, that's a personal decision, but as we said before, it's over if you want to operate at a certain level, you know, and you're not prepared for a long road back.
And comes through with flying colours, Sunday morning, right away, you're talking to Frank Warren and Fury.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking to George Warren, probably. We get on pretty well, but I've got to just, you know, The problem is I do about 800 interviews a day. I've got a massive mouth, as you know.
Is that a problem, though? Is that a problem, doing as many interviews as you do?
Yeah, because I'm going to say something that's going to upset someone, and a lot of the time it's not intentional. You know, me and George have got a really good relationship.
Fair enough.
And what George has said to me is, look, you know, he doesn't do a lot of interviews.
Yeah.
And he said, look, we need to kind of do this one under the radar.
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
like, no, he's 100% right. But I'll do something. I had a chat with Jeff Power by an elevator. Next thing, apparently I'm using words like pilot contract. I don't even know what a pilot contract is. And
In an ideal world, the talking would start towards putting AJ in with Fury.
But Frankie's right in a way. I heard his interview the other day where he said about social media killed Usyk Fury. Rubbish, really. Ultimately, if two fighters want the fight and everybody wants to fight, regardless of what's said on social media, normally it gets done. But yeah, there is an element of that.
Yeah, I agree.
Just, you know, Usyk's out there every day, belly, white rabbit, you know, all this kind of stuff. And Fury's now getting humped. So emotionally, he's changing his opinion. He's probably making decisions that he might not do if he wasn't aggravated. And the same when we were negotiating for Fury AJ. Sign the contract today, you dosser, otherwise you're out. That's the end of you.
Yeah.
And he's looking at it going, is this guy for real? So
In an ideal world, you'd want to talk to Frank Warren on Sunday morning about putting your man in with Fury if AJ comes through with flying colours against Franklin.
I would say we already have the structure of the deal.
Good.
We have the material terms agreed of the deal from December. What we need to do is stay calm, speak to the broadcasters, and what we have this time is time.
Yeah.
And where would you, if you were able to get that together, Eddie, where would you have that fight? Because the key component behind the reason why the Fury-Usyk fight fell down is because it wasn't in Saudi and the money wasn't there.
I mean, you want the straight answer?
Yeah.
Is the straight answer for everybody, but not many people say it? Wherever the most money.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
I
fair.
don't want
Which will be
people-
Saudi, right?
Yes.
I don't think
Or
any
the
fans
Middle
bothered, though, are they? They just want the fight.
No, but
want the fight.
what does bother me is when, you know, Fury will come out and say, you know, no, it's got to be. It previously said he'll only fight AJ at Wembley if it's free to the public to attend and it's not on pay-per-view. And then it's like, you know, let's just be real here.
Yeah.
The reason, you're right, the Usyk fight didn't happen is because actually, regardless of the 70-30 split, there wasn't enough money in the pot that he had in his mind that fight was worth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, he's right. Really.
Eddie, you're in big demand, I'm hearing, elsewhere. So we will move this
Can't
along.
let it go.
That was a continued look ahead to
Thinking,
Joshua Franklin in partnership with DAZN. Stream the fight live exclusively on DAZN.
My name's Anthony Joshua. Listen to my fight live on talkSPORT against Jermaine Franklin this Saturday on talkSPORT, the home of boxing.